What's up, you guys? We're the Oak Fam, and in this video we're going to give our entire itinerary and cost rundown of our 4-week trip to the UK and Europe.
This was definitely an amazing trip, and it was our first big trip that we took where we came straight from Arizona, where we put all of our stuff into storage, decided to fully dive into this full-time travel lifestyle, and it was an awesome first month.
Awesome first month. We're fitness entrepreneurs, so we work online, so we're really grateful that we get to do this, but we're gonna dive straight into it, exactly like what we did, how much fun we had on our trip, the fun things we did, and most importantly, how much we spent. I think it might surprise you how much it really was altogether, but yeah, that's what this video is for. So let's do this thing.
Yeah, this video is going to be really exciting because it was a full 4 weeks that we spent. Our itinerary was a lot. We did a lot in just those 4 weeks, and I feel like typically in these style travel videos people are taking trips for roughly 14 days or 2-week time frame. This is a full month. If you want to do what we did, pack up your life, go live abroad, go explore Europe for an entire month, then this video is going to be extremely helpful for you to budget and plan.
Yeah, so the first thing we did is we started with the UK. So we literally visited England, Wales, Scotland, and then we went over to Western Europe where we hit up Amsterdam, Brussels, Paris, and then we called it good and we flew back home. It was epic. I mean, we started off just flying straight to London, and London, it was the first time we'd ever been there, and London was epic. Like, we had a really good time in London. After a few days in London, we went up to Manchester. Eventually we made our way over to North Wales, which is beautiful. Saw some castles, had a good time. Also, we went to a Manchester United game when we were in Manchester, which was sick.
We did all the things.
We really did, yeah. And then from there, we went up to Scotland. Keep in mind, after Manchester, we actually rented a car. So we did have a car for a majority of the time in the UK, which, especially if you're going to go to Scotland, like, we would recommend it. In Scotland, I mean, there's lots to do in Scotland. Scotland was, like, epic. But honestly, a lot of what you do in Scotland is kind of drive around and just see the scenery, because that's half the joy of being in Scotland, is just looking around.
Yeah, we were literally out in the middle of nowhere, so we really did have to take a car. So you'll see in our cost breakdown, some aspects of the trip were flying, some were trains, and a large portion of it as well was renting a car.
And I think it was easy to justify because you could do a bunch of fun things and it would all kind of add up the cost. But literally in Scotland, you could, if you did anything, just drive around. Like, that's all you got to do. But we went to Glasgow, we went to the Isle of Skye, and then we went over to Edinburgh, and that's where we kind of finished up the UK portion of our trip. And then from Edinburgh, we ended up flying to Amsterdam for the first portion of, like, the actual mainstream Europe part of the trip.
Loved Amsterdam.
Loved it.
So worth it to go over to that location.
Yeah. Amsterdam is really cool because once you're, like, in, you know, the main part of Europe, like, you can get places so easily. So we literally just got on a train, went down to Brussels for a couple days, and then we finished the trip. We did a whole 6 days in Paris. That's how we wanted to really finish the trip, was like almost a week in Paris. So again, we just took another train from Brussels down to Paris. Got an Airbnb, and it was a crazy one.
Loved Paris as well.
Yeah.
Great way to end a month in Europe is Paris.
Definitely. Deserves all the hype. Yeah, but altogether, I would say this was like a mid-tier trip. When we're talking about the price point, it wasn't super fancy. Like, we've done fancier trips. We didn't stay at any 5-star hotels or anything like that, but we also weren't living out of hostels, really. So it was definitely mid-tier. You could do the same trip cheaper if you wanted to. 100%. You could most definitely do it more expensive if you wanted to. Say, I mean, obviously this is the budget for 2 people, so if you're just single, then you can cut it in half.
Oh, so much easier if you were traveling single.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get down to it. We kind of had, like, our kind of, like, categories, I would say. So yeah, let's talk about flights. Again, this is going to be really different depending on where you're flying from. We were actually, because we literally got rid of our house and everything, we were staying with my parents in Omaha, Nebraska, flying out. So I would not rate Omaha, Nebraska as the best airport to fly to London out of. It's not a great international airport. It's not an international airport, period. So again, yeah, you'll probably find cheaper ones, but, like, the total cost of our flights for 2 people was $1,827. So, I mean, yeah, about $900 per person. Absolutely have seen cheaper flights than that before. I've also seen more expensive flights than that before. And keep in mind, I mean, this is like end of 2022. Flights, I think, just were generally more expensive than, a few years ago for various reasons. But 900, I would say reasonable. And keep in mind that is actually the full round trip flight. So that does bring us home from Paris back to Omaha as well.
Different location. Yeah.
Okay, so number 2, the thing we want to talk about is kind of like our other travel. This includes the car rental. It includes trains, which if you're in Europe, you're probably going to use trains. And then also like our other flights. Obviously, we flew from Edinburgh to Amsterdam. So this kind of collectively just is all of that together.
So the flight to Amsterdam was around $200 total for both of us. Once you are over there, the flights are much, much cheaper. Easy to bounce around. And our train to Paris, which was definitely a longer train ride. And did we do like first class on that one?
Yeah.
I think we did do first class. Just a little upgrade.
I forgot about that actually.
We did.
It wasn't that much more expensive, but and we did stop in Brussels too, so it was kind of like 2 different trains.
Exactly.
But the Brussels to Paris was first class, if I do.
Yes, exactly. So it was $300 total for trains throughout our trip.
Okay, so that's all the travel, but now the stays, the hotel part. And what I'll say about this is you're gonna get a variety of different types of places. I will say too, we actually did stay with a couple of friends in London and Manchester, so we did save a little bit of money there. But the hotels in Europe it's gonna widely range. We had some decent places that were on the cheaper end. We had the place with the rat in Amsterdam. You should watch that YouTube video.
Rat hotel.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
We tell the entire story in our Amsterdam video, so go watch that one. That was crazy. So we ended up having to spend a little bit more in Amsterdam, but we got a really nice hotel.
Yeah. In Paris, we did an Airbnb for a week. So I think we did save a little bit because we got a week discount for Airbnb.
There was, it was, guys, it's Paris. It's going to be expensive. Our Airbnb kind of sucked, but it was worth it. So we survived. We didn't die.
Again, everything over there was always, we had a private room, we had a private bathroom, and we had everything that we needed and good stays.
Yeah, they weren't hostels. This is probably going to be the most expensive part of your trip, especially if you're talking about 4 whole weeks. It's a whole month, guys. So
and you're hopping around too. That was the other thing.
Yeah,
we moved from place to place very often, which is definitely worth it, but just expect to spend more because you are changing places so often.
Exactly. And so the total was $3,000 that we spent on just like the hotels, essentially. Again, hostels could be dirt cheap if you wanted to do that route. None of these were 5-star hotels. I think the Amsterdam one was a 4-star, only because we were forced to upgrade due to the rat. But in a way, kind of grateful for that rat. But yeah, that's $3,000, guys. So it kind of bumps up the whole budget quite a bit.
So now let's talk about all the extra fun things that we did. There was a lot of free things to do over there. Lots of sites to see, lots of things that didn't cost extra, but there were a lot of things that we decided were worth it to do to make the experience even better for us. So some of the fun things that we did were we did go to a Manchester United game, we went to the Anne Frank house, we went to the Rijksmuseum, we went to the Louvre, we went to Conway Castle, and maybe a few other things sprinkled in there, but our total for that was $500 for the whole trip.
Again, you should actually just watch our London video, our Scotland video, our Amsterdam video to get more insights on like the things we did. We did actually do the London Eye as well and the boats on the River Thames in London, which wasn't that expensive. So $500-600 for fun things to do. These things I would never take back. Yes,
you definitely want to have a budget for actually going and doing things, because as much as there is free things to do, it definitely solidifies the experience when you get to do those common things that are just really unique to the area. Like the Louvre, for example. I mean, that was just so unreal to be there.
Like you could go to Paris and see the Eiffel Tower and that'd be sick.
Yeah.
But not seeing Mona Lisa or something. I mean, why are you there?
Do it all.
Yeah, just do it. Okay, guys, now the main last thing, which is food. Food in Europe. It's expensive.
First of all, the food in the UK sucks. I loved the food in Paris, but majority of the trip, it was just like, so whatever. I'm a foodie, So if you are also a foodie, just expect to be not that impressed.
I would say if you go to, first of all, I lived in the UK for 2 years, so you get a little bit used to it. I'll say if you're going to be there for like 2 weeks like we were, probably the second week is when you're going to start getting sick of things because you can only eat fish and chips so many times before you're like, hey, I need a little bit more variety on my plate. But the food's good. It's just you get really sick of it, and there's only so many restaurants open, little chippies here and there, and they all serve the exact same thing.
So one thing that stood out to me on this trip was that we were over there when the Queen died, and we were in the car driving one day trying to stop and get food, and just everything was closed, and it was already hard to find food, and food too at that point. That was like about 2 weeks in where we were getting sick of food, and then literally everywhere was closed down due to mourning.
Yeah, it's not America. If you are new to the UK, honestly, Europe in general, and you're American, it is different. In America, you'll never go hungry. There's a restaurant every 4 feet. In Scotland, like, good luck. Or when you're driving and there's no gas stations, and when there is a gas station, or a petrol station, I should say, it's just like they don't really have food there. Like in America, the gas station culture here, the convenience store culture here is so crazy. The food bill racks up quite a bit, and especially when you are in Paris and Amsterdam and places like that. I mean, you can't go to a restaurant and not spend $50 for one meal. I mean, you could if McDonald's, which you could do, but we didn't want to do that.
Yeah, and through our different international travels, we've definitely learned some hacks to save money when you are going out to restaurants, or how to eat to the budget. So if that is a video that you would like to see, then comment below and we'd be happy to make a video on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to Japan, you're gonna do great. Think about how much money we spent per day in Japan on food versus Europe.
So much less, and that's because of the convenience store culture over there versus in Europe.
So it was about $2,500, maybe close to $3,000 just on food, which comes out to very roughly about $100 a day. Very quickly, I think initially we had the idea, like we've been to Europe before, like we knew it was expensive, so we kind of had the idea of like, okay, let's aim for maybe under $70 or $80 a day. It became very apparent that that was not going to happen. And again, we weren't splurging really, we just didn't want to have McDonald's every meal. But very quickly we're like, okay, we're probably gonna have to stretch it to $100 a day. And then even then there were days where it's like 120, 130, just because we had more than 2 meals that day, Yeah. And if every meal is $40 or $50 and you eat 3 meals a day, do the math. It is crazy. So we did manage some days to keep it under that, but I would pretty confidently say it was in the $2,500 to $3,000 range for just food for a month in Europe for 2 people. And so when you do the math and you bring it all together, our 4-week trip, which was incredible, to the UK and 2 parts of Europe, came out to
$8,500.
You crazy wildcats.
Such a good time.
Yeah, I think it's a lot, but if you were to ask us if we regret it, absolutely not. Would we do it again? Absolutely. In fact, we've been on multiple trips since then, and we'll make budget videos on those too. For a mid-tier trip, we did pretty good, I'd say. There wasn't that much we want to like take away or change about it.
Yeah, I know so many people, like for Christmas time, when you're going on a week trip at Christmas, easily drop $10,000 on just 7 days.
Yeah.
So for an entire month in Europe, really relaxing, really enjoying our time, I think that we did great.
And one thing that we're just really passionate about is just like living the life of your dreams and making it happen. So if there is a way to make it happen, we recommend it. We are very blessed. We've worked very hard to get into the position where we are, where we both are able to work online. So it's really nice because even though we're spending $8,500 on a month trip, we're actually also working and making money while we're gone. So it allows us to do that. But we would love to just, kind of inspire more people to be able to do similar things. And that's kind of like a basis of why we've even started this channel to begin with, is just to showcase like, hey, like you got one life, travel more, see more countries, do cool things, live life on your terms.
Yeah, so we hope that this video gave you a better idea of what traveling to Europe for a month would look like or could look like for you, no matter what your situation is. This was just our real raw expenses and experience traveling to Europe for the first time as a couple.
Yep, and so if you want to see what we spent on 5 weeks in Spain, which was our next trip we did a couple months later, let us know in the comments below. If you want to know, oh my gosh, our puppy is knocking over the plant. Rooney. Oh.
Come up here, sleepy boy.
And if you guys want to see how much we spent on a month in Japan, then yeah, let us know in the comments below too. We'll do that one too. Every like this video gets is more treats for little Rooney and Daisy, who's right here. I don't know if you can see her.
Yeah, you can see Daisy. So we hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a like, give it a comment. If you have spent a month in Europe, comment below how much you spent in Europe. We would love to hear. And for this to be able to just reach more people, to be able to help people travel more. So without further ado, we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Peace out. See you guys.